got a question for y'all. When are we going to be sick and tired of seeing thin, gorgeous girlies act like they got belly rolls on camera on Lizzo's internet and then try to tell us because they survived the struggle of being a size 4 in this country that they deserve to be a body positivity icon? When are we going to stop that? When are we going to stop pulling an All Lives Matter card on the body positivity movement? When is that going to happen? Tell me, do skinny people suffer from self-esteem issues? Yes. And do they deserve to feel positive in their bodies? Yes. But should they be the face of the body positivity movement? Let's talk about it. Hi y'all, welcome to my channel. My name is Delphine and I'm here to hit y'all with all of my unpopular and controversial opinions on social issues and pop culture with a little bit of motivation and self-improvement as a treat here or there. I'm new here and I'm trying to hit my first goal of like 50 subscribers, so if you like what my sister got going on, might as well just hit the subscribe button. I mean, it's free. It's free 99. Today, we're going to be talking about how capitalism ruined the body positivity movement and made slim and conventionally attractive, white, light, and bright women the face of the body positivity movement in order to scam y'all and profit off of the historic social activism that body positivity activists did in order to promote queer bodies, trans bodies, black bodies, fat bodies, and disabled bodies. Instead of doing all of that, they ignore that systemic oppression and instead go back to historically privileged bodies and putting them in the spotlight, which only recreates the marginalization that body positivity activists tried to fight against in the first place. The true meaning of radical acceptance for all bodies is completely lost when we stop elevating and advocating for the bodies that have been historically marginalized. We really need to look at how the body positivity movement corrupted all that just for some cash. So you might be asking, Delphine, what's wrong with having conventionally attractive and slim women as the face of the body positivity movement? Don't they deserve to feel positive in their bodies too? To that, I'll say, why are we co-opting the body positivity movement to do that? And second, why are we doing that in such a way that doesn't even address the goals of the body positivity movement, but instead just allows brands to make a quick buck saying that they're body positive and that they champion body positivity without actually giving credit to where it's due and actually fighting for the standards that, body positivity was built upon. So in today's video, I want to break down the roots of how capitalism ruined the body positivity movement in 2 chapters. First, how body positivity became a sales tactic instead of a social movement. And second, how the mainstream body positivity movement in fashion perpetuates the same Eurocentric and exclusionary beauty standards that basically the straight size beauty industry does. So are they really doing anything to help us? And finally, I want to dive deep into why looking for validation from companies, brands, influencers, and the internet about our bodies is not the answer, and how to stop these companies from using body positivity as a way to profit off of us. The body positivity movement began in the 1960s by fat black women as part of the fat acceptance movement with the intent to radically accept fat bodies and rebel against the capitalistic, fat-phobic, and patriarchal diet industries and other social messaging that made disabled bodies, queer bodies, bodies of color, queer and trans bodies, and more feel oppressed based on just the way that they looked. The body positivity movement was never meant to be a hashtag or a marketing tool, and it was always meant to be incredibly radical and incredibly activist that actually advocated for accepting marginalized bodies, and it critiqued the society that oppressed people just because of how much they weigh. But that all began to change in the early 2010s with the growth of social media websites like Tumblr and Instagram, where plus size bloggers really brought a lot of acclaim and a lot of attention to body positivity. And at first we have all these amazing plus size bloggers who are talking and posting and sharing why, plus size acceptance and diverse representation is so important. But then all of a sudden what we see is that it's not only these plus size influencers who begin posting about body positivity, but all of a sudden you have a more diverse group of women posting about body positivity. But often some of these women who were trying to use this as a promotional tool tended to fall within the guidelines of what we consider conventionally attractive in society. They were slim, they weren't really plus size, and a lot of them were considered beautiful, but they were still able to use body positivity as a way to promote themselves and build their platforms. So all of a sudden we see thinner and conventionally attractive women using these hashtags to talk about their journeys towards self-confidence and self-love and self-esteem. And while there's nothing wrong with that inherently, what we start to see is that companies, they start to see that there is an opportunity for them to actually use body positivity to cater to this type of women, but while still continuing to exclude and marginalize the women that body positivity was actually built by and for. All of a sudden, we see all of these brands hopping on the body positivity bandwagon, but we see something that is noticeably and actively missing. Historically marginalized bodies, traditionally non-white bodies that are fat or that are disabled or that don't fall within conventional attractiveness are nowhere to be found in these ad campaigns that are running across the nation and are using the body positivity movement and its language and its activism in order to promote the fact that all women deserve to feel beautiful, as if there isn't a huge section of women who have always been meant to feel beautiful in this country, whereas there is another huge section of women, including the fact that the average size in America right now is a size 16, a huge subsection of women who have been meant to feel that there's something actively wrong with their bodies and have had systemic oppression in place that has really made them feel less than, not just because of the way that their body looks, but the way that their body allows them to move throughout society. What we see a lot of times is that women who are bigger, they're not able to earn as much as, their slimmer counterparts. They often don't get as many jobs. They don't get good treatment from doctors because they assume that all of their issues are weight related rather than actually an issue of health. People push diets upon them. So we see that there's a lot of systemic oppression that exists for, fat and historically marginalized bodies that doesn't really exist for, thinner women, even though they might have their own fair share of self-esteem issues. As Amanda Mull writes in her article, Body Positivity is a Scam for Vox in 2018, for it to be a useful tool for marketers, body positivity needed to be decoupled from fatness and political advocacy, sanitized and neatly repackaged. And that's exactly what we saw happen in ad campaign after ad campaign, that very rarely did we feature women of color in the first place. And when these women of color were featured, they were typically on the lighter side of the spectrum. They didn't have 4C textured hair, and they were typically on the slimmer side. All of these campaigns typically featured women who were size 16 and below, even though the actual definition of plus size is size 16 and above. So where are all of our size 20 plus women who are supposed to be the true face of body positivity? And why are we replacing them with slimmer women who are almost always conventionally attractive and conventionally fit within, this ballpark of what it means to be attractive in society, even if you're not a size 0 or 2. So now we're seeing a size 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. But is that really the true diversity that we're looking for and the true body positivity that was started by these, fat black women in the 1960s? I personally love seeing more diverse women in all kinds of ad campaigns. And I love seeing, women of all sizes in, commercials for brands like Dove and Aerie and everything. But the problem with brands getting their hands on the body positivity movement is that even though their messaging became, slightly more diverse, we saw a lot more skin tones, we saw them reduce the retouching, we saw them increase, the use of models of all sizes or at least more sizes instead of the sizes 0 to 2 that we saw in the early 2000s. It started leading to a phenomenon known as size size appropriation. So size appropriation is basically when a brand uses plus size models or, a diverse range of models as a marketing tactic, but don't actually serve these plus size people to begin with. They don't have the wide range of size inclusivity that you would expect from a brand that is targeting plus size women in their marketing, but they only use them as models. They don't actually cater their brand towards them, which only further contributes to marginalizing bigger bodies who, even though their type of body is being used to sell something to them, they don't actually have that kind of size in stock. They go only up to an XL, like in the case of Everlane, that use a plus size model in their huge size inclusivity campaign, yet they only went up to a size XL, which is basically a 10 to 12, which doesn't even fit the definition of plus size. So what we see over and over again is that these brands are using body positivity as a marketing tool, but they're not actually using it to be body positive. They're not actually trying to be inclusive to real plus size women and real plus size consumers. But what they're actually doing is that they're using body positivity to make these, thin, typically white, typically wealthy, typically, liberal leaning people feel better about buying their products, even though their products are not meant for plus size people, but because people feel like, oh, well, they use a plus size model. I feel better about buying this product, and it seems like it aligns with my values, it aligns with my goals, when that couldn't be further from the truth. Lauren Downing-Peters defines size appropriation in her article, "When brands use plus size models but don't make plus size clothes," that the plus size and body positive marketing isn't for the actual plus size customers who are looking for clothes that would fit them, but instead they're created for normatively sized consumers who get to enjoy the moral satisfaction of patronizing brands that outwardly seem to fit their liberal worldview. For them, it might feel good to publicly like an image of an evidently healthy, happy plus size model, without actually having to resolve any of the moral or systemic oppression that go along with it. And we see a lot of popular brands like Aerie, and I hate to say it because I love Riri, but Savage X Fenty, these brands that focus on, lingerie that literally objectify women within their marketing campaigns, yet use, this body positivity and inclusive language to act as if they're being, inclusive, yet they're still focused on typically conventionally attractive models, typically slimmer models. They don't really venture into size 16 and beyond. And even when they do, they use this, feminist, body positive, marketing and comments and everything as a messaging tactic. But at the core of it, we're still being told and sold a lie. We're still being sold a fantasy that if you buy this underwear, if you buy this bra, you're going to feel sexy, you're going to feel confident. And what more should a woman be in her life than sexy, beautiful, and confident? And those are all good things. I think everyone should feel confident about themselves. But when you use body positivity to tell women that they should continue to aspire to be conventionally attractive and conventionally beautiful, we clearly see that there's a problem. There's a huge disconnect about what body positivity, started as, which started as activism, started as a movement. It started as a way to tell people that historically marginalized bodies matter and don't deserve to be systemically oppressed. And now it's just becoming, oh, if you buy these pair of panties that are, size, double XL, you deserve to feel sexy too, girl. Is that really positive? Is that really the body positivity that we need? Or should we be focusing on, I don't know, fixing systemic oppression against marginalized people and the bodies that they live in? So now that we discussed how body positivity became a sales tactic instead of a social movement, let's talk about how the mainstream body positivity movement has the same terrible Eurocentric beauty standards, the same terrible body standards that, the straight size fashion movement, I guess is that what we're going to call it, has. So clearly, we're not even like making a lot of progress into diversity and size inclusivity. Let's talk about Ashley Graham and how she completely, revolutionized and created representation for plus size women when she graced the cover of Sports Illustrated in 2016, which was a milestone for plus size representation in the media and really showing plus size women for, how sexy and beautiful they are. I love Ashley Graham. I think she's amazing. But when we look at Ashley Graham, do we really see a woman that doesn't represent what we already view as beautiful in our society? Sure, she's a size 16, which, historically has not been present in fashion, has not been present in media, and had sure as hell has not been shown in, a glamorous or fashionable way. And I totally commend that. And for Ashley Graham to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated, on the cover of Vogue, is a huge achievement. But when you really look down deep into it, Ashley Graham is another conventionally attractive, lighter skinned, white woman who really represents everything we value in women's bodies in society. She is a perfect hourglass shape. Her stomach is basically flat. She has, obviously these beautiful faces, these beautiful features, but really what we see in Ashley Graham is that we have only slightly expanded what the standard of beauty is. And I really want to talk about body shape as well as body size. Like, even the models who, are considered plus size models in this industry, which can be anywhere from size 10 to size 16, a lot of these women, not only do they fall, closer to the edge of like, a size 10 or a size 12 in the first place, a lot of them have, historically privileged body shapes, even though they don't have historically privileged body sizes. So let me explain. So what we see a lot in, Fashion Nova, Pretty Little Thing, all of these plus size models tend to have these really amazing hourglass shapes that don't really look like the real plus size women I see in real life. I can speak for myself being, between size 10 to 14, depending on where I shop. I have a belly, okay? Like, I'm not, walking around with these, perfect, hips and this super flat stomach, and I just happen to be a size 10 to 14. Most plus size women don't look like the plus size women we see marketed towards us. And when we look at like these top earning plus size models, when we look at, Tabria Majors, when we look at Leslie Canora, when we look at Ashley Graham, when we look at these plus size models, they all tend to have the similar figure. They have these very flat stomachs, they have these wide, like beautiful hips, these like, amazing thighs, and they have like, very full and ample chest, but they don't really look like your average plus size women that you know. So even though they have a body size that may be like considered kind of historically marginalized, even though they don't even fall into the, the more oppressed plus size, version of society, they still have, like very privileged, body shapes to begin with. So you're still perpetuating like, a beauty standard for plus size women to fall into. It's like, it's okay if you're plus size. It's okay if you're a size 10 to 14. As long as, you're curvy and you got the body of a Coke bottle, then you're good. You ain't got to be a size 2. It's okay. You can be a size 12. You can be a size 14, but you got to look like that. We don't want to see belly. We don't want to see rolls. And that's a problem, because what we see is that the body positivity movement isn't even positive. It has just as many standards, just as many, like critics, just as many like, boxes that you have to fit into to be, a plus size model as you have to, to be a traditional model. So we have all these brands that are trying to sell us an idea or like try to tell us that they're body positive, but where is the representation? Where are the models? Where are the larger sizes? Where is the inclusivity, the size inclusivity? Where are, the darker models, the Asian models, the queer and trans models? Where are they? Nowhere to be found. They're nowhere to be found. And that's when we realize that body positivity is a scam. It's a lie. They're just trying to sell you on the dream that, you can feel confident about your body, and they're trying to make you feel good about what you're buying, but they're doing absolutely nothing to make this world easier for bigger people, fat people, marginalized people to live in, which is what the body positivity movement is supposed to be about. So now that, brands and advertising campaigns and, thin influencers, made body positivity, trendy and mainstream and something that anyone can participate in, of course we can see, thin, beautiful women come up on TikTok and try to tell us that, bodies that look like this could also look like this. And what's really problematic in this is not that, women are being, proud of their body no matter what size they're at, but that when you tell us that it's okay to look like this and you're proudly showing off, the belly rolls you had after eating lunch, what we're really seeing is that it's always been okay to look like this. It's always been okay to look like this. Why are you telling us that it's okay to look like this and not using your platform, not using body positivity to actually uplift women who have been told over and over again that it's not okay to look the way they do, that they should diet, that they should exercise, that they have to hit the gym because they're not good enough the way that they are. The problem with body positivity and the reason that brands and ads can use it to scam us is because they still perpetuate the idea that the most important thing a woman can be in life is beautiful. And it still tells us that the most important social capital a woman can have is beauty. And so they just ever so slightly, expand what it means to be beautiful. They say that you can be a size 10 and you can still be beautiful. But we see over and over again that as long as we let these brands tell us how to see beauty, and as long as we maintain a system that says that women should be beautiful, and body positivity tells us over and over again that you should see yourself as beautiful too. But why is it important that we see ourselves as beautiful? Why is it not important that we see ourselves as smart? We see ourselves as strong. We see ourselves as capable. We see ourselves as healed people. We see ourselves as good friends, as good sisters. Why is it not important about all the other attributes that are good about us? Why does it matter if we're actually beautiful? And I think that brings me into why we need to stop letting, influencers and brands and the internet tell us, what makes us feel beautiful, because truly body positivity is only going to further exclude, plus size women and marginalized bodies from this conversation. Because when we let people like Sienna May become the face of the body positivity movement, a woman who is, which is not even a woman, she's like basically a girl, she's like under 18, a woman who, like, she's literally like, a size 6. She has, this beautiful hourglass shape, and it's not to objectify her, but she is conventionally attractive in any way that you can deem fit, with any measuring stick that you see. She is completely conventionally attractive. Yet somehow she is the voice and the icon of body positivity for the Gen Z movement. And why is that? It's because it's so comforting to people to be told by somebody who is conventionally attractive, to give you the validation to feel attractive in yourself too, if they have the imperfections that you deem to be the obstacle between you being beautiful or not being beautiful. But the key here is not to hinge our ideas of ourselves on beauty in the first place, which is why I really want to advocate for, instead of body positivity, let's talk about body neutrality. And I don't really even like the term body neutrality, because I think it's not even really about being neutral about your body, but it's about being positive about the attributes of your body that have nothing to do with the way it looks like or the way other people perceive it. It's about being neutral in that your body is just a body, it's just a vessel, and to be grateful and positive about all the things that your body can do, and focusing that as long as your body is keeping you alive and doing the basic things that it needs to do, then that is a good body. A good body is one that is an alive body. That is a good body. And that's a body that you should be positive about and proud of. And so let's stop letting brands and influencers sell us the lie that if we buy this product or if we follow them or if we give them a like, that we're actually going to participate in body positivity, because all they're doing is literally just profiting off of our insecurities and using body positivity as basically like, they trying to trick us. They tell us, oh, this is body positivity, but they don't do any of the work to actually advocate for historically marginalized bodies, and even more than that, they exclude them altogether. We don't see those bodies in the messaging. We don't see them in the ad campaigns. We don't see them anywhere. But all we hear about all day long is body positivity is going to make you more confident and give you more self-love. But we would love ourselves if they didn't tell us that we need to buy things in order to feel self-love. We would love ourselves if they didn't keep perpetuating this idea that only certain bodies are meant to be captured on camera, only certain bodies are meant to be desirable and beautiful, and everyone else can kick rocks. We would love ourselves if they didn't keep making this an issue. But because, capitalism has convinced us that body positivity is just about self-love, and that honestly the fashion industry, before body positivity came along was so bad, like its track record was so bad that only included, size 0 and size 2, that even women who are size 4, 6, and 8 were able to feel excluded. We see that the issue here was never with body positivity itself, or even these women who consider themselves, body positive, like icons or advocates, but it's always with this idea that you can be beautiful if you do this. You can be beautiful if you buy that. You can be beautiful if you follow me. You can feel confident in yourself if you do all of these things. All of that is just a byproduct of how body positivity was able to scam us. It was able to scam us because we've been so desperate to feel positive in our bodies for so long. But instead, body positivity isn't making anyone feel more positive. It's not making the world a more positive place for all bodies. It's only using it as a way to collect your coin and do nothing. Nothing. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. And if you like what a sister had to say, just make sure you like this video, that you comment, that you subscribe. I really appreciate you, staying to the end. Thanks for being here today. And I want to hear, your thoughts about how capitalism ruined the body positivity movement. Was I valid? Did some of my points not make sense? What do y'all think? And how do you think that the body positivity movement should be reformed? Do you think it needs to be reformed? I know this is a very controversial topic. There's a lot to say about this, and this is not anywhere near everything I think about this topic, but I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. So, let me know what you think. Thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to say about this, and can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye.